Okay, so we're all told the same story, right? Set big goals. Be audacious. That's the secret to success. But what if I told you that advice isn't just a little off, but that it could actually be dangerous? We're going to dive into this because what we're about to explore might just challenge everything you think you know about ambition.
I mean, that sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? If you want to achieve your goals, don't focus on them. But this quote from a former NFL running back, of all people, gets right to the heart of a really deep paradox. And we're about to unpack exactly why staring too hard at the finish line can be the very thing that stops you from ever getting there.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. This is a picture of Peter Swart. He was a seasoned climber on Mount Everest, and he got caught by something they call summit fever. It's this all-consuming obsession with the goal, the peak, that makes climbers ignore every single warning sign, their own health, the weather, even their critical turnaround times. His dream, that single-minded goal, is what ended up costing him his life. And that brings us to this really powerful idea from a paper out of Harvard Business School. They argue that we need to stop thinking about goals as some simple, harmless vitamin we take for motivation. Instead, we should see them for what they really are: a powerful, prescription-strength drug. And like any strong medication, if you use it wrong or without understanding the risks, it can have some severe and pretty nasty side effects. So where does the problem even begin? Well, it starts right at the starting line. The very moment we set a new, exciting goal for ourselves, we can fall into this psychological trap that basically sets us up for failure before we've even taken a single step. You know that incredible, intoxicating feeling of optimism when you start something new? You're just totally convinced that this time it's going to be different, that the change will be quick, it'll be painless, and the reward at the end is going to be massive. Well, psychologists actually have a name for that. It's called false hope syndrome, and it's this belief that's often built on a total delusion about how much work is actually required. And this kicks off a really destructive cycle. It starts with that totally unrealistic expectation. You feel amazing. You feel totally in control. But because the goal was never realistic in the first place, you inevitably fail. Then you feel awful, distressed. And then, a few weeks or months later, you convince yourself that next time will be the one. And that whole damaging loop just starts all over again. Okay, but the real danger, that tends to emerge in what's called the messy middle. You know, that long, hard journey of actually trying to achieve the goal? This is where those side effects we talked about become the most obvious and, honestly, the most destructive. So here's the real paradox. The very things we're told make a goal good, making it specific, making it challenging, those are the exact things that can make it so dangerous. Why? Because they create a powerful mental state known as tunnel vision. Let's look at some real-world examples because this gets pretty scary. Back in the 70s, Ford had a goal for its new car, the Pinto, that was crystal clear. Get it to market fast, make sure it weighed under 2,000 pounds, and cost under $2,000. They were so hyper-focused on hitting those numbers that they ignored critical safety reports, which led to a fatal design flaw in the fuel tank. Or how about Sears in the 90s? They set a sales goal for their auto repair shops. Bring in $147 per hour. So what happened? Well, to hit that very specific target, employees started overcharging customers for work and even performing repairs that weren't necessary at all. The goal directly created unethical behavior. And of course, there's the big one, Enron. Their executives were laser-focused on hitting these wildly aggressive revenue goals. The key word there is revenue, not profit. By chasing the wrong metric, they managed to hit their targets, collect huge bonuses, and drive one of the biggest companies in America straight into the ground. All of these corporate disasters point to this brilliant principle known as Goodhart's law. It basically says that the moment you take a useful measurement like revenue or sales per hour and you turn it into a high-stakes target that everyone has to hit, it stops being a good measure. People stop caring about the actual objective and they just start gaming the number itself. This whole thing also creates a major conflict inside our own heads. On one side, you have your intrinsic motivation. That's the natural joy and curiosity you have for doing something. On the other side, you have extrinsic motivation. That's the desire for some outside reward, like money, praise, or hitting a goal. And these two are often at war with each other. Psychologists call this the overjustification effect. It turns out that by adding a big, flashy external reward, like a huge sales target, you can actually kill the internal passion a person has for their work. The reason they're doing it shifts from, I love this, to, I have to do this to hit my number.
And when that target eventually goes away, guess what? So does their motivation. All right, so let's just say you avoid all those traps. You actually do it. You achieve your huge life-changing goal. Everything should be perfect now, right? Well, this is where we run into the most counterintuitive problem of all, the weird psychological letdown of actually succeeding. This is known as the Arrival Fallacy. It's the totally false belief that once you cross that finish line, you get the promotion, you buy the dream house, you publish the book, that you'll step into some new permanent state of happiness. And I think we've all felt this. There's that momentary high, and then it's followed by that quiet, sinking thought, is that it? So why does this happen? It's because of a core feature of how our brains are wired called hedonic adaptation. We are incredible at getting used to new things. That huge achievement you worked years to get, your brain recalibrates with lightning speed, and it just becomes your new normal, your new baseline. The thrill fades, and you're left looking for the next high, the next goal to chase. So, if goals are this minefield of psychological traps and dangerous side effects, what's the alternative? Do we just give up on ambition? Well, no, not at all. The answer is about building a much healthier, more sustainable relationship with our own drive to improve. See, the key isn't to get rid of goals, but to completely reframe them. Instead of being obsessed with the outcome, that prize at the very end, the focus has to shift to the process. It's about falling in love with the daily actions, the tiny improvements, the work itself, because that's where true, lasting fulfillment is actually found. And for organizations, or even just for you personally, there are really practical ways to do this. This SESE model is a fantastic framework. First, systematize red flags. Know the warning signs of burnout or ethical shortcuts before they happen. Second, encourage people to abandon a goal if it's costing too much. And finally, establish your exit rules before you even start. Decide in advance when the cost becomes too high and it's time to just walk away. So, how can you apply this stuff right now? You can start with a simple audit of your own goals. Just ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, is this goal about stroking my ego, or is it genuinely about learning and achieving mastery? 2, have I really honestly considered the true cost to my health, my ethics, my family? And 3, does this goal actually connect to a deeper sense of meaning and purpose in my life? And ultimately, it all comes down to this one final question. Take a hard look at the ambitions that are driving your life right now. Are they tools that are helping you build a better, more meaningful life? Or have you become a servant to them, constantly chasing finish lines that just keep moving further away? The answer? Well, it could change everything.